Leeds United are looking at the January transfer window and thinking we should probably get something done. Whilst there's been a fairly good run of form recently, it's not one that you can strictly rely on to make sure that you stay up right now. So in this video I'm going to do a quick run through of what Leeds United are looking likely to do, some of the moves that Leeds have a little bit of an interest in doing, like the bigger sort of rumoured names like Ruben Vargas, and what might be happening the other direction, because that's also worth paying a little bit of attention to. But before all that, I'm just going to do the basic stuff, do the liking, commenting, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. It's been absolute hell trying to do videos recently because I have again been on the night shift with the baby, which means I look absolutely exhausted. I know people have been saying this in comments, and it's like, trust me, I know I look like shit right now, but any support would be massively appreciated. Anyway, diving into it. And the first thing that we need to dive into is the fact that Leeds look like they are ready to move very, very quickly in the January transfer window. A report came out earlier today surrounding Leeds United's interest in Ruben Vargas, who is a winger currently playing at Sevilla. Signed for Sevilla, I think, in January 2025, maybe, by Victor Orta. Very, very good player, to be completely clear. The Victor Orta thing shouldn't tar him, but he's not quite been getting on with life in Sevilla. So Leeds potentially looking at making a move. And a outlet over in Spain has recently reported that Leeds are making a bid of 20 million euros, with Aston Villa and Spurs behind us in the process, having a little bit of a look at him. They are, in media speak, keeping tabs on Ruben Vargas, which means that we are sort of ahead of them in the race. We are ready to make a move. And this says a couple of things. One, it says that we are looking very, very willing to be signing attacking options. So Ruben Vargas is one of those players that isn't strictly stuck to playing in one position. I'm just going to sort of bring up his sofa score just so I can evidence it for myself. But he occasionally plays out on the wing, primarily plays as a 10. This is ultimately what we kind of need right now. We need someone who can do that number 10 role fairly effectively, make sure that the ball is progressing from the back to the front, and it's a position that actually works in the 5-3-2 system. You put him in for one of the midfielders, fantastic, that'll work absolutely beautifully. The main issues that he's had at Sevilla are the occasional sort of injuries, but they don't tend to be too bad. But I think he's the sort of player that will absolutely make a difference for us consistently in the Swiss squad as well, which means that he's going to get on reasonably well with Noah Okafor. And that's all various benefits and stuff. But aside from the pure signing of Ruben Vargas, which I think is a pretty big win, this is proof that Leeds are willing to go very, very, very quick when it comes to getting moves done. The fact of the matter is, there is around 2 weeks until the window opens, which is a healthy amount of time. And Leeds' response normally would be, yeah, well, January, players are more expensive, you don't want to make moves. And let's be clear, last season, that worked. Last season, got us promoted, 100 points, fairly reasonably clear of third place. Big fan of all that, lovely jubbly. Thing is, Premier League is a different beast. And the fact that the Premier League is a different beast means that we are going to have to reinforce in January, because we have a very clear gap in our squad, which is the number 10, because we keep having to sort of pop Brendan Aronson in there, and I think we found out through this season that Brendan Aronson's best position isn't even as a 10, because he looks more impressive out on the wings this season. So I think signing Ruben Vargas would be a great move, and it shows that Leeds are willing to move fast. If we are putting bids in before Christmas for the January window, that shows that we're saying, right, okay, get him in immediately into the side. Hell, he might make it for the squad for Man United. We don't know that. It's hard to tell. But I think this shows that we are willing to sort of get going. And in addition to that, there's been a little bit of conversation around departures. Because again, this is one of those conversations that is going to have to happen. Because if on PSR we're not looking fantastic, you're going to need to sell to buy players in. And if Vargas is going to cost about 17 million quid, you're going to need to sell a decent couple of players. According to PSR, if you're getting Vargas for a 4-year deal, you might need to sell 5 million euros worth of players, which not the most difficult thing to do. But at the same time, you need to persuade clubs to buy, which means that there are only a couple of players that I can realistically see us selling. One of them, sadly, because I quite like the guy, and he played a big part of us getting promoted, would have to be Joel Piroe. If you have a look at Joel Piroe right now, you kind of have to see he's not really getting minutes. We're playing with 2 number 9s right now, and Peru isn't one of the two that are chosen, which is a very, 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 very bad position for like Peru to be in. And it says that we've got a fairly significant asset on our bench that we can sell for a fairly significant sum of money. If I have a very quick look at the championship table right now, a league where Peru has more than proven himself. There are a couple of people that are just like, well, he didn't do that great. He got the golden boot. Let's just accept that. Sides like a Leicester, for example, who aren't even in the playoffs right now. Southampton aren't even in the playoffs right now. Sheffield United struggling and are reportedly looking for another striker because there's rumours around Ings potentially leaving, are all sides that need to improve and will have the finances available to say, right, okay, Peru, we can have you, which means that we'll be able to sell him for a reasonably significant sum of money as well. There's no chance in hell that we go, no, yeah, fine, you can have him for 3 million when, we signed him, had 2 very, very strong seasons with us, and then selling him, I imagine, would be the same sort of value that we signed him for, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. But either way, it would be more than enough to cover the Vargas thing. In addition to that, in terms of players that could potentially leave, Mellier's a must. Let's be honest, Meslier is one where we don't really want to cover his wages anymore to begin with. Never mind, having him there as an asset that is continuing to depreciate. If we're able to sell him, decent sum of money comes in through the door. Fantastic. It's not going to be the biggest because he's only got 6 months on his contract, but I think something needs to happen there. In addition to that, there's been a little bit of conversation around, and I don't think this one will happen anymore, but Nonto is a player where he's sort of like, he's not really realistically going to play too much, but I would like to see him stick around. Harrison, if we can find a buyer, would be spectacular to sell. That would be absolutely perfect. He's got plenty of time on his contract, so it's not going to be massively depreciated, and he's a reasonably good player. He's not the standard that we need right now, and he's not the type of player that we need right now. But he could do a job for most sides in the top 5 leagues across Europe, because let's be honest, the Premier League is a cut above Ligue 1. It's a cut above a lot of the sides in Serie A. If you consider that Jamie Vardy's gone over to Serie A and massively impressed at Cremonese, that's telling for me. I think we can probably ditch Harrison and Meslier, sell Peru for a reasonable sum of money, you get Vargas in, and you cover some more of those big gaps that exist in the side, and we'll be set for the rest of the season. All of the evidence is pointing to the fact that the club are willing to do things relatively quickly this time, which would be absolutely beautiful. I would love to see that. But time will have to tell. If I'm proven wrong on this one, I'm proven wrong on this one. I'll be honest, I've got bigger things to worry about than getting something wrong on a video. But, as always, that's just what I'm thinking on the situation. Kind of want to know what you guys think, so let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, become a member, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get better at doing content recently. Sorry about that, but I'm trying. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. I'm going to go to bed. Toodaloo.